What's up, Junkies? I feel like I should be playing like some somber music here as I begin this show. But really, so we are alive. Yeah, the three of us are still kicking and screaming. There's your movie reference right off the top there, Scott. We're alive. We're breathing. I think Jared was the one that tweeted that the sun rose the next day. We all kind of talked. I felt bad for Jared. He was in between Scott and myself. I remember standing in the front yard after Jared got off the phone with you, Scott, and I was just like, Blaine frickin' Gabbert.
Oh.
This is it. Blaine Gabbert.
I did love that the world was against us. I did love that.
I know. I wish Blaine could have just stuck it to him, but it was. Usually I watch these games with so much emotion, and I'm standing and I'm screaming at the TV, and it was 14-0 before I could even get juiced up, and I was just like, "We're doomed. We're doomed." When I knew the day was really doomed was when the Broncos made it 5 points. They go for 2, and Case Keenum throws a pick 2 the other way, which is as fluky of a play as it gets. Now, just after that, I just knew we were looking like we were getting real sadsies faces at the end of the night.
Ooh, there's the drop.
Hashtag
nice drop
sadsies.
There. That's hashtag sadsies. I should have dropped that in the tweet on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone asks. I'm sure Scott has told the story 1,000 times, and now to other people, with the benefit of hindsight, like you look back, the Cole Beasley butt catch in the end zone, pair that with, to Scott's point, and I told him this on Sunday night, I said I'd have been really sick if that would have been the swing game, Chargers. And then Browns did get it done for us, and then to Scott's point, sequencing in the Colts game was just not good. That team is not built to be down 14-0. They got the catalyst that they needed with the pick 6 to go 14-7, and then just gave it right back with the Adoree Jackson muff punt, stuffed it in the end zone, and that was, sorry, I'm pouring salt in all the wounds here, but that's we had a blast. It was a great season. I mean, we of course have to say thank you to Scott. I would echo everything we said in the last podcast, saying thank you to all listeners. It's been awesome.
But the fun's only just begun.
Oh, the fun is just starting. Mm-hmm. Are we going to be on the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday or what?
Oh my goodness! You know, I was going back through my spreadsheet today. Well, actually on Monday, and it was the first Seattle loss we had all year, and it was just an absolute killer. Yeah, we're going to be back on Seattle on Sunday or Saturday night while we're in Vegas. It's absolute lock city. I just can't wait to get out there, as long as the front seven of Seattle comes to play. And I mean, Zeke tore him up in the first game of the season, but they could only muster 13 points, and that was pre-Amari Cooper. So just gotta get that front seven ready to go stop Zeke, and then they're going to be just fine against that team. And give me Russell Wilson over Dak Prescott in the playoffs all freaking day.
All day. All right, so you want me to talk, Micah, do you want me to talk about the contest real quick?
Well, I was going to say, who's going to make the impulse buy and buy like all the Seahawks gear at the airport? Like the lids or something. There's got to be a lids at one of those. I know there's one in Orlando, but
Jared and I
that's
were
not a bad
talking.
idea.
We wanted to buy tickets to Russell Wilson charity golf tournament with the winnings this year. Unfortunately, it's not the grand prize that we're using the money towards. So it'd be a lot more conceivable and realistic purchase to fly to Seattle and play golf with Russell Wilson if we were taking home 7 figs.
We might have been able to be a partner in his Portland baseball team.
Oh my goodness.
You guys could have been best friends forever. And then you could have maybe hit balls with him in the New York Yankees or something. Is he still a part of that organization?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what Kyler Murray does, speaking of that.
But yeah, so I guess I didn't do the introductions. I'll do that since I kind of jumped right into it. And then, Jared, you can go into the contest. So once again, this is Micah Larson, the long-forgotten producer. Without me, folks, I just want to plug that in there. Without me, we're not on the air, okay? I'm gonna lay it to you thick and heavy here. You would be having to follow these two lunatics individually, and I do just from now on, I'm going to make Jared tweet with a J afterwards so that when he says these just stupid things to people, that I can come back and say, hey, look, wasn't me. But then once again, that's Jared Larson and then the one, the only Scott Panza on the podcast. This is Pigskin Junkies. This is what we do. Playoff football time. Only one more college football game. I know Jerry will probably hit on that real quick. So, but we don't want to keep Scott busy for too long here, so we'll keep it quick.
Yeah, so we got the contest rolling. I made a nice run, and then Georgia Bulldogs let me down last night. So quick update on the standings. There's one game remaining. It is the national championship game between Clemson and Alabama. So if you are inside, if you're at 28 points or greater, be sure to log in and make your selection. The tiebreaker is the total in that game. This guy told us his name, and now I can't stinking remember it. Lepine? He said
he's not from Louisiana, right?
He actually tweeted us, said how to pronounce his name, and I am not even being respectful enough to this guy to figure it out before the show. So I apologize again. He did say he lives in San Diego, originally from like upstate New York, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely not from Louisiana.
Not Louisiana. I told Micah that. I think on Christmas Day we were laughing pretty hard about it. Bug, he's got 34 points. Bugman in second with 33. Blee tied for third with 31. Longtime listener, friend of the show, Pat O'Donnell, 31. Kurt Kramer and myself tied at 30. So, again, 3 points for the championship game. Make sure you log in there. We'll be giving out those free plays as well as the radio hit on next week's show. I will be posting a play if it gets there. Probably going to be Clemson. Would love to get a 7. We'll see if it gets there or not. But I think Clemson has a decent chance at actually winning this game outright. So take the points. It was a great contest. Had a lot of fun. A lot of participation, which is, of course, great to get everybody involved, and a little bit of smack talk on Twitter, which is always fun. Mm-hmm. So that's the college season. We'll put a bow on that. The pro season, of course, has the whole playoffs left. I haven't really been able to find anything that's good from a contest perspective. I've really been looking, and at this point, it's Wednesday, and the games start on Saturday, and we're flying to Vegas and got a bunch of stuff going on Friday. So it's not likely that we'll have any type of contest. Maybe we'll do Super Bowl squares or something like that with the listeners, but TBD. So, but obviously stay tuned. We will be doing a preview show for every round of the playoffs, talking games, picking games. So I will move ahead to Scotty. We want to talk. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Mr. Director John Murray at the Westgate for shouting us out on the Behind the Bets podcast today. Looking forward to meeting John this weekend. Actually, John gave me way too much credit for Scott's picks because we were emailing back and forth, and he thought that I somehow had anything to do other than a consultative role with those picks. But we'll take it. It's a fun podcast, fully endorsed by myself. But Scotty, what?
Sorry, Mr. Director, you're on my shit list. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, the producer completely omitted from the conversation. So just a little snippet because these guys obviously listen to it. Talks about me way too much, mispronounces Scott's name, and then completely omits Micah. Granted, you are not on the email chain, fair. So you can't crush him too hard. But
if you're DMing him, normally you look at the people's page, and literally my handle is in there, and so is yours. And your handle isn't even.
It was an actual email. It was an actual email.
Okay. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, saying like
Still
congratulations.
List, okay.
Now they always say
I'm
congratulations.
How many people can't say Panza? They always say Panza.
Sounds more Italian. Panza.
Yeah.
I get Mika all the time too, and I don't understand where the K comes from. I don't understand.
I mean, dude, if I had $1 for every time I was Jerry at Starbucks, I mean, I'd probably be a trillionaire at this point. I'm like, whatever, man. Just don't mess up my order. You can put asshole on the cup if you want. Just make it right, please. All right, Scotty. Let's give people a little preview, and I think against my better judgment, maybe we'll do a Periscope this weekend. But the listeners can definitely catch you on VSiN. So talk a little bit about the schedule.
Yeah, so on Friday, give a listen to VSiN. I'll be on with Brent Musburger. I'll be talking about the Super Contest. I'm sure I'll be talking about the weekend games. Preview for the weekend. You know what's coming. Seattle, Saturday night. Take the point.
Seattle.
It's coming. There's no doubt about it. It's going to happen. Heard a really crazy stat today about dogs under 3 points in the wild card round or home favorites under a field goal are like 15 and like 35 against the spread in like I forget the time period, something insane like that. And you have three of them this weekend, so I'm all on board on Seattle. And the next game is I'm all over the Ravens. I actually think in Vegas I'll be betting Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, checking out the odds there. I don't think anyone wants to play the Ravens right now. I know as a Pats fan, I don't want to see them coming into Foxborough the following week, so I'm really hoping that Houston can get the win on Saturday. But Ravens, watch out. I think they're going to the ship and then just get trounced by the Saints, and it'll be an ugly one. But the Sunday night...
The Saints are good. I like them a lot.
Sunday... and then since 2013, I think there hasn't been a team that's been a non-1 or 2 seed to make the Super Bowl since the Ravens did it a few years ago when they beat the Pats that year. I remember because I was there. And talk about being sadsies. There's nothing worse than seeing your team get beat by 14 points in 0-degree weather and you're freezing your nuts off.
Hey, but it was Ray Lewis.
Did you at least have some hot cocoa or something?
I think I defrosted by the time we got to the diner on our way back to Connecticut. I was with my dad, and he's like, I'm never doing this with you again. Not to mention all the money I lost on the game. So it was just a terrible night all the way around. Yeah, disaster. But we'll be all over the Ravens. We'll be all over the Seahawks this weekend. The other 2 games, I haven't decided. Jared, do you have a lean?
I think I like Indy, and I'm trying to not be beholden to what I saw on Sunday night, but they looked very, very crisp on offense. I was quite impressed. Mm-hmm. I think they'll be able to move it. I definitely do not trust Bill O'Brien, really haven't all season. I think they've significantly outperformed their expectation with wins, so I will probably be on the Colts. Well, let me rephrase that. I'll definitely be on the Colts in that game because we'll be in Vegas and I'll have something down on it. I just don't know if I'm going to make it an official selection or not. And then I really like the Bears. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just don't.
I'm with
Mitchell Trubisky, dude. I mean, I think he is going to convert 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s all day long on the Eagles defense. And I think there's way too much respect for what the Eagles have been able to do in the last, let's call it 10 to 11 months. And as a consequence, that line is undervalued.
Yeah, if Napoleon Dynamite is banged up, not able to move around in the pocket, that Bears D-line is no joke. And obviously,
Dynamite.
That's a joke, Jared. He looks like, that's what Nick Foles looks like.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about, dude?
Well, I'm not that stupid. Sorry. I thought the joke would at least register with someone. You really never thought he looks exactly like the guy?
No.
All right, I'm running a poll on the Twitter after this gets posted, and I'm going to figure it out.
Perfect. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, Bart Scott.
All-timer. It's an all-timer. And then I'm with Scott. I like the Ravens. These are all leans, of course. Nothing has been finalized as of yet, but
still got to listen to some podcasts and
some pods, see what's cooking. But these are initial leans. I mean, at home, Ravens offense is tailor-made for this time of the year, this time of the season.
Yeah, San Diego and weather, and San Diego 10 a.m. body clock. I mean,
yeah, west to east, all the stuff. Yep.
And you know what? And the Chargers are just getting pounded. I don't get it because didn't the Ravens just beat these guys in L.A. in a must-win for them a couple weeks ago? I don't know. I must be missing something.
But see, spin cycle, Phillip Rivers, with all of his kids that he has, is used to waking up so early, so it's it's East Coast time. So
he's going for a full football team. He'll have his 10th child.
It's honestly
10 plus
unbelievable.
10 plus him is a football team.
It's like Cromartie. I mean, just come on, take care of it.
And then Saturday, so Saturday we will pick up. Mr. Director on the podcast said it's a quote novelty check. I much prefer the Happy Gilmore style
Oh my goodness.
check. Maybe we'll take it home with us, although I don't
Do
know
we
how
get
that's
to
going to
keep
work
it?
on the airplane. I don't know. How are we going to get it
man.
home?
How's
How's anybody going to get it home?
That's gonna be a
Gotta figure out a way.
fragile bag.
How boss of a move would that be? You walk on the airplane with a huge cardboard check for $400K.
No,
Like, yeah, man, what's up? Yeah, I won this today.
you gotta do
home.
first class and then buy it its own seat and just like seat belt it in there. Now that's called whipping it out and just putting it on the table and saying, "Here it is."
It's
folks.
true. This is true. That would be fun. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll have a lot more stuff, a lot more content. We just wanted to debrief on what's cooking this weekend so people can pay attention.
Hey, actually, Jared, you want to hit on something real quick? A lot of people commented before the weekend about the hedge strategy going into the weekend. If you wanted to touch on what we were thinking and what we didn't end up executing at all.
Sure. I'll say a couple things because, first of all of you trolls on Twitter
just
can
one
suck
guy.
farts. can suck farts because if you don't think that Scott and I looked at this from every possible angle on Saturday night once the picks were released, you are out of your skull. Every possible way we looked at it. We said the longer this game, we have a lead. We have a 1-point lead over Rush. We have a 2.5-point lead over this other pack of 3 people. What are the scenarios? Let's talk about it. Let's talk it through. We said the longer that this contest plays out, the better off we'll be, right? So we want to continue to ride this thing out before we hedge any potential hedging situation. And then the second thing is, and I'll get to this here in a second, what are the logistics of hedging? So sit in our seats. We are after the 1 o'clock games, we win Buffalo. We lead the field still by 1 point. We would have to go one. So between Team Cleveland and Personal Gourmet, one of those two had eliminated themselves after we won Buffalo by the function of them being heads up in the Washington versus Philadelphia game. Ultimately, Personal Gourmet wound up winning Philadelphia. I won't mention the butt catch again from Cole Beasley. So you have to think of it and say, okay, we have 4 games left. They have to go 4-0 in their remaining 4, and we would have to go 1-3 in our remaining 4, and we would lose by a 0.5 point. Now, remember, we'll have that Sunday night game. I'm of the opinion that the probability of that happening is very, very, very low. Now, of course, it happened, so you can't ignore any of that. But you also have to look at the situation to say the time frame between the time the 1 o'clock games got over and the 4 o'clock game started is the same roughly as when the 4:30 games got over and when the night game started. It's about 45 minutes. I have a newsflash for all the people that made this comment on Twitter. Getting $250,000 down on one game is not an easy thing to do. Very simply said, you can't just call up Westgate and say, hey, it's me, it's Jared, I'm in first place. Why don't you let me bet on credit $250,000? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I think Scott and I both would have liked to have some money the other way. But unfortunately, Scott lives in Connecticut. I live in Florida, neither of which of those states allow legal sports betting. And as a consequence, we just weren't able to get the amount of hedge that we had hoped for. But again, logistically, it's very difficult to do. Now, what I would say and what I think we learned was I read the article from Dave Tooley yesterday that said that Personal Gourmet was in Vegas on Sunday looking to potentially hedge. So I think if we could do it all over again, no regrets, obviously, but if there were anything, I would say we'd probably be on site on Sunday and would have raised some cash prior, looking to make a little bit larger of a bet. But again, we had at some point you have to make a decision and stick with it, and we went with the process that had gotten us there. I say we, Scott and I talked about it, and felt comfortable where we were, and it obviously, bounced against us. But that was a really long-winded answer to a short question, Scott. But I think giving an idea of people or two people of the complexity of what's going on and the time pressure is unique, because it's easy to say in hindsight.
I think also what we were looking to identify is if there was a game, say we were on exactly what happened between Personal Gourmet and Rush. Personal Gourmet was on Chicago, Rush was on Minnesota. If we had an instance like that, we would have been in Atlantic City the next day. We had a sports book willing to lay credit for us to bet on these games, and we would have been all over something like that. But all of our games were pretty much independent. We had common games with a bunch of guys. In fact, every guy chasing us, we had at least one or two games that were common plays. So those were essentially blockers, especially against like a third place guy. So we just thought that, like Jared said, we had to go 1-3 in the 4:30 and beyond slate to not win. And that's exactly
on top of those guys not losing any games.
And on top of them going, perfecto. And, we just didn't think that was going to happen. I was ready to be risk on, and we had a lot of confidence in the picks, and we went risk on and we risked it, and it didn't really fall our way. In hindsight, I think I would have liked to be on, and Jared and I, we were talking about it, we would have just been 6-figure bets on the Rams and the Chiefs because they were the most common plays. And probably after all that was said and done, we would have been on the Colts in some capacity. The line had just moved so far against us.
Yeah.
There wasn't any value to get there. You'd have to bet money line, and then you're laying, minus 170. So you're not getting a ton of value unless you can get a insane credit line.
Well, I was going to say, and I even looked at a couple -3 options. I think it would have been, money line Colts would have been like minus 190, and -3 Colts, so to buy it back down would have been something like minus 160. So again, it's just not, and you try, so I read Andy Duke's book, Thinking in Bets, which is a great book for any gambler. I'm of the opinion, because what you don't want to do is what's called resulting. So the Plinko chip fell into this slot this time. That doesn't mean that you necessarily made the wrong decision. And I feel like we went into it eyes wide open. We knew all the variables. We looked at what the options were. We made the decision based on what the outcomes were. And then you have to live with it. That's not, I don't want to make it sound like this is fun or easy or any of that stuff. But, and what I think I've said it to Scott a couple times, we knew exactly why we were making the decision we were making. So what happens is if the unlikely event happens, you draw yourself back to, this is why we made the decision. If you get the opportunity to do it again, would you change anything? And I think we found some things, but again, we made the choice. We made the decision at 4:10 that this is the move we're going to make. And then again, I think we were a little hamstrung for the evening game, unfortunately, but it's how the cookie crumbles.
It's still a very enjoyable payday.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's what it's, and that's the tough. I've said this to a couple people. Like, the tough perspective is you were in first place, so you tasted it. But I think when we were registering in the summertime, if someone would have told us, "Hey, you're going to make multi-6 figures from this contest, you're going to take second place, or tie for second," you're signing up for that immediately.
Yeah.
It's perspective, and I know Scott has a blast doing it. We have Mike and I don't want to speak for you guys, I suppose, but I have a ton of fun doing this. But and it's fun. I tweeted that thing out about Holgerson today and was getting interaction on Twitter. That's the stuff that we love doing. So happy that this has given us the platform to do that.
Yeah, Holgerson, Jared, more money and I think a longer contract than what West Virginia was willing to cough up. And Will Greer leaving, you kind of are like, all right, everyone that was good is gone.
Isn't Houston in the same conference as UConn?
Yes, and UCF and USF.
So,
and Cincinnati and Temple.
These are all my thoughts as well.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. If you want to make more money, I'm not going to begrudge you. But
Ed Oliver's gone. But Houston has talent. They just...
Right, but we've you see the groundwork has been laid. An undefeated team from that conference is not going to the national playoff, or to the college football playoff, excuse me.
And West Virginia's never going to the playoff either.
Realignment? Is that the thought?
Is it what?
Like, is there going to be more conference realignment? Why aren't they in the Big 12?
They could be, potentially. And maybe that's what he's angling for. And I think I said it earlier on Twitter. I just feel like that's a lot to risk for a, quote, maybe. But I also, one thing I did not do is check the years left, the money, all that stuff. But I got to believe West Virginia's was paying them then.
On a happy note, and this will be, so I'm going to say this, you guys will have a reaction, and then I'm going to close this out. Hugh Jackson is interviewing for the Vikings OC job.
Holy shit.
It's happening. He's going to Zimmer because this is all a big boys club is what I've learned.
Yeah.
Is all these guys get new jobs. Oh, you're going to be the offensive line coach making, what, $400K a year because you coached with Mike Zimmer back in 1995. It's just insanity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love, with all the coach firings this past week, there's some really hot narratives out there on the Twitter sphere about why these guys are getting fired and how it's too short a leash. They must not have watched these football games. As someone who religiously watched football this season, the guys who got fired, all their teams underperformed. They never closed games. They made awful decisions throughout the year, and this is a very bottom line business. It's not what the narrative that people are trying to make it sound like. These guys are just bad coaches, and they weren't working out. There's plenty and frankly, there's so many bad coaches in the NFL. It's just like kind of baffling, but they're just bad owners in the NFL. So, that's why this stuff happens, and that's why the cream rises to the top, like the New England Patriots every year, because they have great leadership. And certain teams just have crappy leadership, and that's why they get stuck with. That's why Rex Ryan, after he failed with the Jets, gets a 5-year deal for $35 million with the Bills in last one season. Owners are stupid.
Owners, I was gonna say, really good at one thing, but not good
making
at
money and blowing money, baby.
I just want to see my man David Tepper blow up Carolina. I can't wait to see it happen. Because apparently Ron Rivera is going to stay there. I don't really get it, but he's going to make some changes there, and I can't wait to see what they look like in a few years because I guarantee you they're going to be a top franchise in the NFL. That guy is way too smart to not lead that team to glory eventually.
He's going to – yeah, I mean, I think your buddy Lombardi was saying some stuff about that. I think it's systemic for a lot of these guys. I mean, Wilkes in Arizona, not ready to be a head coach, like incompetent. Vance Joseph – incompetent, not ready to be a head coach. But then some of these guys, Jets with Bulls, who else got fired?
Dirk Cutter. I mean, how was
Dirk Cutter? How did I forget about them? Well, but look, I mean, Tampa over
Miami.
and over, just incompetent. Miami. So I mean, like, I think Mikey even said it on Sunday night. He's like, the same 7 organizations are constantly changing coaches. Yeah. That's an organizational issue, not necessarily a coach issue.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see where Adam Gase ends up.
He'll land on his feet somewhere.
I think he's going to stay in division with the Jets potentially.
Ooh.
If they don't land McCarthy. I'm really curious to see where some of these guys end up. I think McDaniels is going to be gone. I actually think Flores is going to be gone as well. I think Flores might end up in Arizona.
Peter Schrager, I read earlier today, said Albert Breer said he thinks McDaniel's going to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Why would you go to Green Bay and not go to Indianapolis last year?
What?
God, yeah.
How do you
you don't have to deal with Irsay.
I guess that's fair.
Imagine dealing with that nut job all the time. It would be painful.
Can you imagine living in Green Bay, Wisconsin?
We were just in Wisconsin. We were at
beautiful
Whistling Straits. It was gorgeous. They have a great beer. I can't remember the name, but
Spotted Cow.
That's different, though.
Cow.
That's
and
like
eating brats all the time. It sounds like heaven.
That's only how far from Milwaukee?
Oh, the brats.
It's an hour from Milwaukee.
You get a couple pars in you, and then you scarf down a brat. You're ready to go get some birds.
Wow.
6 spotted cows and 2 brats, and it's chirp time.
Ooh.
So I'm going to wrap it up with this. So we'll definitely do a Periscope. We'll maybe do something when we're actually putting the pics in.
We have to.
I'll put a camera in everyone's face, and then you can see my beautiful face afterwards. I guess you people have never seen us, so Get ready.
Well, they see we have profile picture.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Is us, and they saw Scott on VSiN at Betting Across America.
Me in the flesh is going to just absolutely rock some people's world.
We gotta change the Twitter picture.
They're gonna be. I was gonna say we have to make a new Twitter picture this weekend.
Yeah. Everyone with the check.
babe.
We tried to get some polos in, but everyone said we can't do that in a day. So we tried. But that's going to do it. We are going to be in Vegas. We'll get on the line. We'll post some live videos, maybe take some questions, all that fun jazz. It's going to be fun. This is our first time attempting it, so let's do it. If you're in Vegas, also let us know. So once again, I'm Michael Larson.
Tweet at us. There's one guy on Twitter, one of our trolls. Don't tweet at us, pal. Keep grinding those email subs. It's noble work you're doing, pal.
Make sure you figure out what Ovaltine is, buddy. I'm Michael Larson. That's Jared Larson. That's D. Scott Panza. We're going to be in Vegas this weekend. If you're there, hit us up. If not, tweet it. Watch us on Periscope. We're out of here, Junkies. See ya.
See ya.